What if I told you that the reason you're exhausted, anxious, and second guessing yourself all the time is because you're addicted to something you didn't even realize? And no, it's not your phone, it's something way worse. And the craziest part is that everybody is hooked on it, but no one is talking about it. Let me explain. And if you're new here, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so I can continue to make amazing content like this where we talk about well-being. For years, I was chasing something that I didn't realize was literally destroying me. It dictated what I posted, how I dressed, how I showed up in my life, the decisions I made, everything. And no matter how much I got, it was never enough. I was in an endless cycle of constantly looking for approval, constantly wondering if I was good enough. But then I figured out the truth. And once I did that, I broke free. My entire world changed. So if you've ever felt like you're drowning in self-doubt, constantly overanalyzing how people look at you or what they think about you, stay with me here. Trust me, it's gonna pay off. Because this might be the wake-up call that you didn't know you needed. There was a time in my life when I was consumed with seeking external validation, that it literally dictated every single choice I made in life. And it also stopped me from doing a lot of things. I mean, a lot. I remember posting something on Facebook, expecting a certain level of external validation from my friends and family. And, when it didn't hit that mark, I literally felt crushed in that moment, which I know sounds stupid to some people, but in that moment, that's what was important to me. It was something I was genuinely proud of, and I thought my friends and family would take notice. Instead of celebrating and enjoying what I had created, I let the lack of engagement put value on my worth, and it wasn't much. I thought to myself, why didn't people care? Was I not good enough for them? Should I change what I'm doing? And just like that, I was handing my self-worth to other people. And it's not just on social media. We do this all the time, at work, in our relationships, and even in our everyday conversations. I mean, think about it. Have you ever worked extra hours? Not because you needed the money, but because you wanted your boss to notice you? Have you ever changed the way you acted or spoke depending on who you were with, just to fit in? Or have you ever second-guessed the outfit you were wearing that you thought was cute because you were afraid of what other people would think of it? These pressures are everywhere in our lives, in every facet, not just social media and the internet. It's so easy to fall into these traps because at the core, we all just want to be seen, validated, and appreciated. But the truth is that when our sense of worth depends on external approval, we are giving our power away to other people. And then we lose the power to control our own happiness through that. The toll that takes is heavy. Seeking external validation becomes a cycle, and it's a cycle that breeds insecurity, self-doubt, and anxiety. And nobody wants that. We start overanalyzing everything we do. We become scared to take risks because what if people don't approve? I have a few people like that in my life at the moment, People that I thought would always be there for me, but in one way or another have shown their true colors. And that's something I've had to work through. And it's okay. Friends come and go in our lives, and so do people. I believe it's so important to surround ourselves with only people who are going to be supportive along whatever journey you are taking. If you have anyone in your life that makes you feel bad about yourself or your situation, I would not have those kind of people in my life personally, because they're never going to help you get to where you want to go. They will always drag you down back to whatever level they're on. And it's sad when you grow and evolve, away from people, but that is a part of life. Life happens in stages, and nothing is forever, including friendships or anything. But here is the truth, okay? No amount of external validation is ever going to be enough if you don't value yourself first, because that is so important, and you can't accept something you don't have. It's like there's no compartment in your brain for it, you know? The real work, the real healing comes from learning to approve of yourself and love yourself despite what anyone else thinks. And that is the hard part that I think so many people are fighting with today. But we can do it. I know we can. So how do we break this cycle? It starts with awareness. You need to pay attention to when and why you're seeking this validation, wherever it might be, and pay attention to those reasons. You need to stop and prompt yourself questions like, am I doing this for me? Or am I doing this for the approval of someone else? Start celebrating your small wins, even if no one else acknowledges them. Because it's your journey, so make it fun for you. Create for the sake of creating. Work hard because you want to. Wear the outfits that make you feel good. And remind yourself over and over again that your worth cannot be given or taken by another person. It's something that you give to yourself, because at the end of the day, the only validation that truly matters in life is the validation that you give yourself. You spend most of your life, you spend all of your life with you. So I think your opinion of yourself does matter, and it should be a good one, because you're awesome. Now, since we're talking about external validation, I've got to go a little bit deeper to the real root of the issue, which is the inner critic. Now, that little voice inside your head tells us we're not good enough, that we need to prove ourselves, that we have to be perfect to be worthy. And trust me, I know that voice all too well. It used to be so loud in my life, constantly whispering things like, what if they don't like this? What if you fail? What if you embarrass yourself? So, where does this voice come from? A lot of it is shaped by our past experiences. Maybe as a kid, you were only praised when you did big things or big accomplishments. So now you feel like you always have to achieve something in order to be valued. Maybe you were criticized growing up, and that has made you hyper aware in every situation in your life and makes it hard and makes you fear making any mistakes. I know personally that's the type of life I grew up with, always being criticized. Maybe not for my looks or anything like that, but definitely for my weight and definitely for other things too. And it can make you really hyper aware of what everyone thinks about you. And that's something I personally have had to work through and still work through to this day. I still have a lot of trouble, like making mistakes or letting it be okay that I make mistakes. But as we can see with this podcast, nothing with it has been completely perfect. And that is one way I'm working through not caring what people think, because every time I upload something that isn't 100% perfect, it's okay because it's authentic to me and who I am. And so in a way, it's perfect for me. And honestly, there's also societal pressures. We live in a world now that is constantly telling us to do more, be more, prove more. It's really toxic and unhealthy. Social media alone makes us all feel like everyone else has their life together so effortlessly and seamless, and that's just not true. They are lying to you. Social media alone makes it so hard, like everyone is living their best life, like success is coming to them effortlessly, and like their confidence is unshakable. So we see that, and of course we start to question ourselves, like, am I doing enough? Am I falling behind? Am I good enough? That's when the inner critic gets even louder. And the worst part is, the more we listen to it, the more we feed the beast and make the cycle more prevalent in our lives, until we become absolutely consumed with seeking the validation from other people. I'm sure we all know someone like that. Think about it this way. If you're feeling insecure about something, you're gonna seek reassurance from other people, right? And then when you get that validation, you feel like a sense of relief, if only for a moment. But now your brain is trained to look for that reassurance every time. And then if you don't get that validation, your inner critic is gonna double down, which ends up making you feel even worse. It's like a never-ending loop. But here's the thing. The inner critic isn't the truth. It's just a voice shaped by past fears and external pressures. And if it was created over time, that means that we can retrain it. We can learn to separate our voices from the voice of doubt. We can learn that just because we think something doesn't mean it's real. So what if instead of seeking validation from others, we started giving ourselves the validation that we crave so much? What if we started talking to ourselves with the kindness that we offer to others? The key to quieting your inner critic isn't proving it wrong by achieving more. It's realizing that you don't have to prove anything to anyone because you are enough already. So if we've talked about the dangers of seeking external validation and the loud, persistent voice of the inner critic, the next step is learning how to embrace genuine self-acceptance. And I want to be real with you here. This one is not going to be an overnight transformation. This one is going to take some time. You're definitely not going to just wake up and love every part of yourself tomorrow. But in time, you can definitely make changes to love yourself more than you do today. You can take little steps every day. Self-acceptance is a practice. It's a choice you make every single day to focus on internal fulfillment instead of chasing approval from others. And that starts by shifting your focus inward. For so long, I thought that happiness came from other people's opinions. If they liked me, I felt good. If they didn't like me, I would literally question myself. But then I finally started to focus on what made me happy, independent of anyone else's approval. And that is when everything changed. Instead of asking, will people like this? I asked, do I like this? Instead of asking, will they approve of my choice? I asked myself, do I approve of this decision? Do I feel good about what I'm doing? Instead of asking myself, am I enough? I tell myself, I am enough. The more you do this, the more you take your power back. Because at the end of the day, nobody else is living your life. No one else knows what it truly means to be fulfilled in your eyes. So why are you letting them be in control of your happiness? Another huge part of self-acceptance is recognizing your strengths, celebrating what makes you unique. We spend so much time comparing ourselves to others, wishing we had their confidence, their talents, their success. But what about the incredible things you bring to the table? What if instead of focusing on what you lack, you focus on what makes you special? Think about it. What are the things that you do effortlessly? What are the qualities that make people feel safe around you? What's something you've overcome that proves your strength? These are your unique gifts. No one has your exact perspective, experiences, or your ability to impact the world in the way that you do. If you're struggling to see your strengths, here is a simple exercise. I want you to write down 3 things that you genuinely love about yourself. Not things other people have praised you for, things that you admire in yourself. Every morning, remind yourself of these qualities. Say them loud and claim them as a part of who you are. Over time, this practice rewires your brain to look for the good things inside of yourself instead of focusing on what you're missing. There's that neuroplasticity again. And finally, you have to cultivate a sense of gratitude and appreciation for who you are right now, not for the person you wish you could be, not for the version of yourself that society says you should be, but for who you are today. Be grateful for your resilience. Be grateful for the lessons you've learned. Be grateful for your ability to grow, change, and be better. Because at the end of the day, self-acceptance is not about becoming the perfect version of who you are. It's accepting yourself for who you are right now, as you are. It's about realizing you're worthy. It's about giving yourself the permission to take space, to make mistakes, and to exist without needing to prove yourself. And the moment you stop chasing external validation and start embracing yourself, your flaws and all, that's when the real freedom begins. I cannot tell you how much my life has changed since I stopped trying to seek validation from other people and started truly embracing myself. And trust me, I know how hard it is to let go of that need. I spent years basing my worth on what other people thought of me, whether they approved of my choices, liked what I had to say, or whether they thought I was good enough. And every time I chased their approval, I lost a little bit of myself. But the moment I started living for me, that's when everything changed. I always second-guessed myself. I always questioned my worth. And when I finally chose and decided to stop caring about what other people thought, I finally felt free to be who I wanted to be, embrace my weird quirks, and just accept myself as I am today. Not perfect, unfiltered, and rough around the edges. And having that freedom is something that I will never trade for a temporary high from someone else's approval. When you let go of the need for validation, you don't just exist, but you thrive. You start making decisions on what feels right for you, not what other people will like about you. You stop walking on eggshells and being afraid of how other people might react. You begin to trust your own instincts and stand firm in your beliefs. And the best part is that when you stop living for external validation, you make room to be able to attract true and genuine connections. The kind of people who will love and respect you for who you truly are, not for the version of yourself that you think that they want. I mean, think about it. The people that you admire the most, whether they're friends, family, or a public figure, they didn't get where they were by seeking approval. They got there by standing true to themselves, even when it was hard. And you have that same power within you. So now I encourage you to embark on this journey for yourself, because this isn't just about me. This is about all of us reclaiming our sense of self-worth. If you've been holding yourself back because of what other people think, I want you to ask yourself, whose opinion really matters? If you've been waiting for permission to step into your full potential, I want you to remind yourself that you don't need permission to be you. And if you're struggling to silence the inner critic, start small. Ask yourself those questions from before. And make sure that you always try and catch yourself when you start to notice. Please remember to remind yourself daily that you are enough right now, as you are. This journey isn't about becoming new. It's about coming home to yourself. It's about realizing that you're already whole, you're already worthy, and you're already enough. The sooner you start living for you, the sooner you'll start feeling peace and confidence that come from true self-acceptance. So take that step, trust yourself, and let's start living. Not for validation, but for ourselves. Listen, the need for validation is sneaky. It can shape your entire life without you even realizing it. But the good news? You don't need anyone else's approval to live a life that you love. The moment you stop chasing it, you take your power back. So if this hit home for you, don't stop. Keep going. Thank you so much for watching another episode. Make sure to join me on all of my social media accounts. If you've been feeling exhausted, burnt out, and don't know what to do, I'd suggest checking out this video right here where I talk to a doctor about what you can do to stop the signs of burnout. I'll see you guys over there. Bye.